Hi, cutie pies. I am Lanikia, and you're watching What Happened on the Soaps. This is Days of Our Lives edition. Today is Wednesday, November the 8th, 2023. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 5. It didn't do anything for me. I know other people will probably love the episode, but it just did nothing for me. Let's get right into this. Oh, gosh, let me pull up my notes. First of all, let's start off with Brady. Yeah. So Brady and Eric go over to, well, Eric goes over to Marlena and John's place. It's their anniversary and they want to give a gift. The excuse for Bill not being there is because Gabby is being arrested and Bill is working on the case. So that's why she couldn't come. Right. I said, how long y'all gonna make these excuses? But anyways, so then we see they're just talking about everything about Eric's yeah, about Eric's marriage to Sloan and how Brady knows that Nicole got married. So and he says, that's all a coincidence. Why would I choose Nicole's wedding day to get married? I don't know why you did, because you found out and you wanted to marry Sloan on the same day. I don't know. And they said it's the day before Maggie and Victor's wedding anniversary, and it's the day before, Eric and Sloan got married the day before Marlena and John. So they was like weddings in the season. So then they talked to Brady about, everything that's going on with him, and it's a lot. I don't know. Brady's just Brady. So, anyways, so then we go in here and into the bedroom, and we see John and Marlena. He didn't have the strawberries for her, but he had some like butter and some edible, I don't know, edible something. And I said, sir, if she's hungry, she don't want any edible nothing. Lick me up some food. That's just me. But anyways, so they're just talking and everything because it's their wedding anniversary and they're going over things. So then they get up out the bed and they go into, I guess enjoy some TV or something. And they see Eric and Brady there, and they was like, "Oh my goodness, what are you guys doing here?" And they said it's your wedding anniversary, so we wanted to give you a gift. And so they gave them this really nice, because I guess the sixth year is wood, so they gave them this really nice family tree, like a literal wood. It's made out of wood, so like a family tree. It was really cute. And so they had all the names and they said we should add Sloan, and they said no, we talked about it and we decided not to add Sloan because we didn't want to add Teresa and Kristen. I said, but I guess you could do that. They just decided to leave it with names because I guess it would be Brady, Teresa, Tate, Kristen, Brady, Rachel, and I guess they didn't want to add the women's name on there like that. I said, okay. And he says, nobody wants that. I said, sir, like, what y'all be telling women? What y'all be telling women? Pick better, choose better. You should have chose better. That's on you, sir. That's on you. Um, anyways, they talk about that. Then they talk about Gabby and they talk about um Brady lets them know about Teresa and Stefan were supposed to help him. He was like, I wish Bell wouldn't even took their case. And he lets them know about Teresa and Stefan. And Marlene tells him, don't feel guilty about Nate. I think she said Nate, and then she said, she feels bad for Ariana because she was supposed to come home. I said, am I missing a part of this? So when was Ariana coming? When? I guess for the holidays, child. Anyways, so that's all with that, y'all. They give him this thing, and then Eric ends up leaving, right? Marlena, Brady, and John continue to talk, and they just tell Brady everything's going to work out for him as far as, you know, his life, and they hope everything is working out for Eric and Sloan, and they're happy for them. They want to see them go on their little honeymoon and all that. Child, let's move on, because let's move on. So then we go over here and we see that's it with them, y'all. Then we go over here and we see Maggie and Sarah. So when we see Maggie and Sarah, they're talking because it's her wedding anniversary, and it's a tough day. It's her first anniversary without Victor, and Constantine is in the back listening, right? So he finds out they were married 13 years and all that, and then he smiles and walks off. So then we see that Sarah is talking to her mom, and she's just letting Maggie know her custody hearing is today, and she says, "Can't you and Xander work it out?" And she says, "No, mom, we can't work it out. Every time I try to work it out with him, he does something." And she said, "Well, you need to be prepared to lose your daughter. You might lose custody." And Sarah's taken aback, and she says, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so harsh." And she says, "I know you're dealing with a lot, mom, and I know you just want the best." And she said, "But I've tried with Xander, but it's always something with him. Every time I try to let my guard down with him, it's always something." But anyway, she said, "But I gotta." Then Kayla and Steve ended up coming over, and they tell her, Kayla's like, "We sent all the paperwork, Sarah, whenever you have, well, I've put in for the paperwork to be sent with you whenever you have time and you receive it, fill it out." And Maggie's like, "What are you talking about? You're going back to work?" And she says, "Yes, because I have to be able to show that I can provide for Victoria." And so Maggie didn't know this or whatever, but Victoria starts crying at that time, and Maggie and Sarah's like, "Well, I have to go and check on the baby." And so she goes and gets Victoria and gets her ready, and she's leaving, right? So as she's leaving, she's going through the town square. Xander is there. Now, Xander had been there earlier talking to Teresa, just getting under her skin because it's Xander and it's Teresa. So they were getting under each other's skin. He was telling her about being a gold digger. And he also saw her talking in the town square to Constantine, because Constantine went there to get a little gift for Maggie. And he ran into Teresa while he was doing that. He said, "How's your plan going with Alex?" She said, "Slow and steady." He said, "Not too slow." She said, "Stop it. You're going to get your cut of your money, of the money. Like, leave me alone." Or anyways, but he was like, "I better." And so he goes on about his business. But she did tell him, Maggie is a nice woman. Like, don't be doing too much. You know what I mean? And so when Xander sees her talking to Constantine, he was like, "How you know Constantine? It looked like y'all was chummy." She said, "Oh, that man just asked me for directions to a restaurant I have never heard of." And so then she gets him off the subject by bringing up, "I'm giving I got something from Sweet Bits for Alex." And he was like, "Girl, you got your claws into that man. I don't know what he sees in you or whatever." So they go back and forth, and then she ends up leaving him, and just telling him, "You're just jealous because you're not you didn't end up being Victor's son or whatever." So she goes on about her business. And so that's when Sarah bumps into Xander. So they run into each other, and you could tell Sarah's having a tough day. And he tells her, he says, "Oh my gosh, the baby, she's getting so big. I bought her a really pretty pink dress with a little hat to match, and you're gonna be so pretty in it." And then he said, asked Sarah if she's all right, and she was like, "Do you mind if we can postpone the custody?" Because actually he asked her, would she talk to him, over a cup of tea, and they don't have to go to court. Could they work it out on their own? And she says, "I think court is best, but do you mind if we postpone it? It's a rough day because Maggie's anniversary." He said, "Yeah, I forgot about that." He was like, "But Sarah, if that's what you need, of course, I'd be happy to do that." And he said, "But I really want us to just sit down and work this out, right?" And he being real nice to her, and she's emotional. So I was like, okay, I'm about to work this out. But I knew another shoe was gonna drop. And so they trying to, she thinking about it. She tells him, "Xander, every time when you're like this to me, I think we could work it out. But then something happens to make me regret trusting you." Child, why Eric come up? Eric came up and said, "There you are." And he told Sarah, "Look, I just got subpoena coming from my mom's house. Xander wants me to testify in court against you." I said, Xander. And so you want to talk about somebody who can make Xander back all the way down and look shameful. The way Eric was talking to Xander, I said, "Oh my gosh," like, because most of the time Xander got a smart mouth or whatever, and he gives as good as he gets. But baby, he was shamefaced when Eric was telling him what was going on. And Sarah was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Yes, he wants me to testify against you." This is Eric to Sarah. "He wants me to testify against you to prove that you've done this before. Keep a man away from his child." He said, Xander was like, "It's not my fault. My lawyer," he says, "my lawyer is the lawyer, no, he told Eric, your girlfriend, and Eric said, that's my wife. And I know my wife did this because you told her to go for the jugular. And he was like, oh, he paraphrasing, Sarah, I didn't really say those words. Then you told her to go for it. And so Eric says, but I'm sure you didn't tell my wife your little part of this whole thing. And Xander put his eyes down, and Eric said, yeah, I figured that. But don't worry, I'm going to tell her the parts you played in all this. I said, Xander, you didn't really think you was going to go to court with that without saying your part in it. Like, you didn't think that, child. Anyways, so then Eric goes off or whatever, and he leaves them, and Sarah's just like, "See, this is what I'm talking about." He's like, "Sarah, please," and she said, "No, I'm gonna see you in court, and if you think it's gonna be you gonna come after me like that, and it's gonna be that easy, you got another thing coming." I said, "I know that's right, girl." Xander, you almost had her on your side, but you if you want to work this out, I feel like if you want to work this out, then call your lawyer off. That's the main way to work it out. But if you can't want try to get her emotionally there with you and agreeing with you and then turn around and stab her in the back. Now, I've said it from the beginning, Sarah was wrong keeping the baby from him and everything. But the way they're handling his custody, they're both wrong on that too. Let's keep moving. Cause that's it with them, y'all. Oh, child. So then we go over here. Roman, Steve, and Kayla were all talking. Um, they know it's Maggie's anniversary. Oh, they update each other about Gabby, so they're just talking about that and how that's all going. Because Roman said, he talked to Will and all of them, and then they talk about how Ariana's going to be dealing with this. Then they talk about Maggie and how it's their anniversary and they're sending her over. Roman sends them over with some scones, right? So Kayla and Steve go over to Maggie's and, they're talking to Maggie. I told y'all earlier. And they're just talking about Victor and she shows them the portrait and they say it's nice. It was a nice memory. And then Constantine comes in with this lace, right? He gives Maggie a gift because he didn't know Steve and Kayla were there. So he was like, I'll do it later. She was like, no, no, no. And so she sees this gift because he said lace. And I told them to bring the lace from Greece and all that. And so she's like, oh my gosh, let's have tea and these scones and eat on this lace. And Constantine was talking and they were all, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. But you could tell Steve wasn't feeling them. So, anyways, when Maggie and Constantine leave, Kayla said, Constantine seems nice. And Steve was like, I call bull. And she was like, don't do that. Don't do that. He said, it's something about him I don't like. And then she said, well, I will say that I never saw a lace cloth the whole time I was in that house. He said, it wasn't because look, here's the receipt. He just bought this in town. I said, now, Constantine, you got to be better than that. And so Steve was like, "I'm Black Patch is gonna look into him because it's something about him, and I don't want Maggie getting hurt behind this man." And she said, "Okay, then leave it alone." So then they have their tea, and then Roman and Steve go back over to Roman and Steve and Kayla go back over to Roman's, and they tell him, that Maggie enjoyed it, and then they talk about Constantine and Steve makes this remark, and Roman says, "Should I know?" And Kayla says, "No, you don't want to know what's going on." And so that's pretty much it with them, y'all. Y'all know they like to bring them on and just be a little scene fillers. That's all they was. They were just filling a little space in the episode. So then where do we go from here? So then Maggie and Constantine continue to talk, and she thanks Constantine for, just being there for her and sharing all of Victor's memories and then giving her such nice gifts. And she hugs him, right? And Constantine hugs her back, and then he started looking at that picture at Victor smirking. I said, Victor's passed, right? He can't actually see you. I'm like, what are you doing? But baby, I guess he said, I'm getting my revenge in your death, sir. So, anyways, let's move on, y'all. Who do we go to now? Mm, Then we go over here to Alex and Teresa. Now Teresa's is woken. She brings in Alex some croissants or whatever, and he tells her he got a call from HR, and they verified that the letter that his birth mother wrote was not actually real. Somebody had forged it and everything, and he knows it was her. And so she was like, no, no, it wasn't me. And he was like, stop lying to me. You did this, you, because, and that's why you got your, try to sink your claws into me. It's all about money. And then she wakes up, Alex wakes her up, and she's like, oh my goodness. So then they talk a little bit, and then she goes and get the croissants and comes back. And when she comes back, her dream comes true, because Alex is like, we need to talk, I got a call from HR. And she was like, huh? And he says, they told me you used to work on Bella magazine. And he wants to revive Bella, child. It wasn't nothing like that. So she's so relieved, and he wants to make her the editor and everything for it. And she's like, are you sure you want to do that to me? And he was like, yes. He wants to do it. So she's gonna be the editor for Bella magazine. And Alex is still none the wiser that he is not Victor's son. And Teresa can continue to play these games with him. Y'all, that's it. That's all I got. If there was anything else on this soap, I'm sorry. We missed that today. That's all I have for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you tomorrow for an all new episode of What Happened on the Soaps, Days of Our Lives edition. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.